это беспилотник. Сбили, бабахнуло в 2 раза, взорвалось, падает.
As this private plane carrying Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin crashed north of the Russian capital of Moscow, not many were surprised. After all, Prigozhin was a dead man walking ever since his 24-hour mutiny tested 24 years of Vladimir Putin's authority.
I don't know for a fact what happened, but I'm not surprised.
Do you believe?
I mean, not much that happens in Russia is Putin not behind, but I don't know enough to know the answer. I've been working out for the last hour and a half.
Prigozhin rose from being Putin's chef to one of his closest aides, and his mercenaries, the Wagner troops, played a key role in Russia's war in Ukraine. But Prigozhin started complaining against Russia's Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Army Chief Valery Gerasimov, accusing them of depriving ammunition to the Wagner troops. And then the unthinkable happened. Prigozhin led an armed uprising against Russia's military leaders. His troops took control of the Russian city of Rostov-on-Don and were nearing Moscow when he suddenly decided to retreat after a deal was struck by Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko. The deal allowed Prigozhin and his forces to go free, but Putin could never forget the betrayal.
Мы не дадим этому повториться. Защитим и наш народ, и нашу государственность от любых угроз. В том числе от внутреннего предательства.
We will protect our people and our statehood from any threats, including treason from the inside. Unreasonable ambitions and personal interests leads to treachery, state treason and betrayal of own people and the common cause which Wagner fighters and commanders fought for and died for, alongside with our other units and brigades.
Сражались и погибали бойцы и командиры группы Wagner.
The private jet which Prigozhin was allegedly on was flying between Moscow and St. Petersburg. Wagner-linked telegram channel Grey Zone claimed that the jet had been shot down by the Russian military, but there is no evidence to support this allegation. Nonetheless, Prigozhin's death barely 2 months after his mutiny raises more questions than answers.
I knew Prigozhin for a very long time, since the early 90s. He was a man with a complex destiny and made serious mistakes in life. He achieved the results when needed and when I asked him. He was a talented person and a talented businessman. He worked not only in our country but for Africa also. He was involved in gas, oil, precious metals and stones there.
Like Prigozhin, another critic of Putin was Alexander Litvinenko. The former Russian intelligence officer turned defector died a slow and agonizing death in a London hospital in 2006 after he was poisoned with radioactive polonium-210. Litvinenko's criticism of the Kremlin and his ties to the British intelligence MI6 made him a target. He had accused the Russian spy agency FSB of collaborating with mafias that fueled the deadly 1994 Chechen war. He was allegedly poisoned by 2 Russian citizens. He drank polonium-laced green tea during a meeting with them in London. On his deathbed, Litvinenko accused Putin of killing him. The Kremlin has denied the charges and refused to extradite the 2 suspects to face trial. Then there was Sergei Skripal, a former KGB officer who also defected to Britain. In 2008, Skripal and his daughter Yulia were found unconscious on a bench near their house in Salisbury in the UK. GRU Russian military intelligence officers had allegedly put Novichok nerve agent on the door handle of their house. A discarded perfume bottle containing the lethal agent was later found by a local, who died after applying it to her wrists. The poisoning of Sergei Skripal and his daughter appeared to be a retaliatory move for his role as a double agent for the British intelligence. 2 Russian suspects were identified and charged with conspiracy to murder the Skripals. But once again, the Kremlin denied any involvement. Another high-profile poisoning is that of Alexei Navalny, a prominent Russian opposition figure. Navalny fell into a coma in 2020 after being poisoned with a Novichok-class nerve agent on a flight. He was transferred to Germany for treatment and recovery. Navalny's outspoken criticism of Putin and his inner circle of oligarchs made him a hero among Russians. He gained popularity through his anti-corruption activism, social media presence, and fiery speeches. Navalny's poisoning was widely seen as an attempt to silence him and eliminate a vocal critic of Putin. An in-depth investigation into the poisoning revealed that FSB operatives had been shadowing Navalny for years, even traveling alongside him on numerous flights. This suggested a high level of planning and organization behind the attempt on his life. After Navalny recovered, he was jailed for 11.5 years for alleged fraud. Recently, an additional 19-year prison sentence was slapped on him. What's abundantly clear is that Vladimir Putin does not take too kindly to those who challenge his authority. It's this ruthless, cold-blooded attitude that has defined his more than 2-decade-long reign in Russia.